Good morning, welcome to Morning Outlook. This is Kim speaking on Monday the 5th of July. So let's have a look firstly then at the event risk that we've got coming through today. Just have a look at today's calendar. Well, it's the 4th of July, or it's not the 4th of July, it's the 5th of July, of course, but we've still got the 4th of July bank holiday in the US there, so I expect this afternoon to go particularly quiet in terms of volumes through from the US side of things, although doesn't always switch off, and again we still get some movement through those periods. So we've still got the OPEC meetings carrying on. Retail sales already happened in Australia. That's it. In the Canadian Bank of Canada Business Outlook survey, I don't think there's going to be a significant amount of movement from any of these. The only thing that could create some movement in terms of oil prices and maybe a bit of knock-on effect towards the Canadian dollar and maybe the Aussie dollar is this OPEC meeting, but in the main, I think we're down to our own technical devices there. Whilst I've got this on, let's just bring this back and just look at a couple of other things here. Treasury, the yields are not anything. I mean, the Treasury yields are remaining and in fact going even lower. This takes the heat off the US dollar. Generally, when we see high yields, we see the dollar pushing up, but the yields are still pushing low, which, as I say, takes the heat off from that perspective. Okay, get asked about all different indices it seems now, but there's a limit, so I'm just going to run through the indices. I am a forex trader and that's where my focus really is, but I'll just have a quick look. So the Hong Kong 300 index there, then just looking at that Friday, it sold off quite strongly. Today it's barely moving really, it's in a very tight range. Technically, I just need to come out a step here, but it looks, for those that are sort of looking at the bigger picture here, if I can double click on this and get a bit, that's better, see a little bit more. There are some sort of key levels. We're coming down to some key support areas at some stage down these sort of levels here, but just looking at how big Friday's bar was in the end there, it's quite a sell-off bar there, but as I say, today barely any movement so far, so there we go. Looking at the FTSE, well, the FTSE hasn't opened yet, but got to bring this back to a daily actually to show this properly. There we go. I was just looking at the 786 retracement. It ran into a 786. I can't remember if I did this on the update or elsewhere, but at the moment, that's where it ended things on Friday. Looking a little bit edgy around the area, but it's doing a bit of a Gartley pattern effectively. That's effectively an ABC sort of correction pattern, which could roll over. So looking at a little bit on the soft side there. S&Ps this morning, just bring this down a little bit, slight bit of softening, but Friday, huge day. I say huge day, but another big day pushing up, and the sort of mixed numbers coming out of non-farms has effectively helped that somewhat. Takes the heat off, as I say, the dollar for the time being at least. I'm not completely sure of the long-term effect of that. DAX, looking at the DAX then, the DAX has been range bound and it's just doing exactly the same thing. To me, it remains bullish whilst there's a trend line that's sitting up here. It just remains bullish at the moment as long as it's sitting above that trend line. Starts breaking down, well then it looks softer, but for now, yes, it's consolidating. This is typical. I covered this on a session in our day trading room on Friday. Typical sort of holiday-ish period, just even pre-holiday period at the moment, what we're seeing in the markets, and you see this just consolidation, and then we'll no doubt see a decent move. They are slipping against the things like the Nasdaq, which are, well, just continuing to push and push. I wouldn't stand in front of any of these trains. The Dow Jones, it was doomed apparently a few weeks ago. Well, it's not that doomed, is it? It fully bullish engulfing, continued pushing up. We're not far away from its key highs again. Yes, it's a triple top effectively on the bodies at least. Yes, and yes, it could have a reaction as traders sell into this. It's almost a natural situation. However, if it starts breaking through that, watch out. There will be plenty of breakout traders waiting to take advantage of that. Okay, here's the equity markets. I'll leave that for now. Let's go through the currency markets, really where my focus is. So Friday we ended up with this sort of reversal bar, this decent hammer. I talked about the divergence on Friday on the euro. Well, it's sitting there. We've got coming up these markets, there's almost like a bullish flag sitting there at the moment. There is a weekly pivot just above, which will come in with a double top into this high we saw on Friday there, and we could see a reaction to that. So just be aware of you getting ahead of yourself or think that the markets are failing. There's also a decent trend line coming off these lower time frames here, pushing down through this level here. So watch out for this sort of area. It could just show some weakness. We've got an untouched daily pivot below. If it starts failing at this area and starts rolling over, I don't see any reason why it won't eventually continue in its mode where it's running. And I'm a bit wary of this current push up here that we've seen on Friday, but if it breaks above that weekly pivot, who am I to question it if it technically changes the shape? But for now, I'm still erring on the idea it might roll over. The pound, I know there's a lot of things taken off the heat there in terms of the dollar, but at the same time there's not a significant change in play. But well, we've seen the markets react to it, and if they continue pushing up, the pound is back in. It is double topping here at this stage. It's through its weekly pivot. Let's just come out. Just a time frame here. Just watch what it's done there. Bullish engulfing. That's quite a signal of a key reversal bar really sitting there. And well, if they are starting to move up, I'm seeing on the daily chart of the pound here potential push right back towards its monthly pivot there at 39.54 area. So there's some potential up and into that sort of area if it does carry on pushing. Just coming down here where we've already looked at this ball flaggish sort of pattern here. We could be looking to extend this. If I could just extend this original trend line that was sitting across there, and just watch for that comes in with a 50 MA as well. So some resistance about that 38.60 area, no doubt by the time we get there. So somewhere in that region. So at the moment, erring, and if it can break this area, erring on the bullish side. If it fails here, there is a bit of divergence that's probably kicking across on the MACD here as well. Yep, marginal divergence sort of sitting there, but certainly it's sitting there a bit on the RSI, although the time it's taken, it's sort of worn itself off. But it looks like it could continue, in which case maybe the euro will as well. Yen, we saw this Friday's bar again, outside bar here, bearish engulfing, and looking a bit soft from a daily perspective. Maybe we'll see a bit more of a correction coming through on these markets. And the key sort of line for me on the yen here is a break of this 34.50. Break below that, it does it well. It's into its next wave. Now you could go before then. I mean, I'm sure on the lower time frames there's opportunity before, but you're sitting there right on top of a couple of key moving averages. Target wise, well, if you're looking for targets, there is a monthly pivot below there as well. So there's reasonable targets below there, and it may just find it get back into support. Aussie dollar. Let's just have a look at the Aussie dollar. So again, divergence at the lows there, bullish engulfing, and it's a pretty similar picture here in terms of although it's it's not the bull flag here. Well, I don't know. It is the bull flag on the 4 hourlies there, and it's already into its weekly pivot. Maybe my negativity on the euro there is a bit unfounded, but looking at the euro, it does looks like it's founded. But however, on the other pairings here, we've got these sort of bullish engulfing 60-minute bars and things like this on the Aussie dollar here. So some bullishness sort of setting up across some of the other majors. Commodity currencies doing well out of this. A Canadian dollar, again bullish, bearish engulfing in this case, inverted currency pair. It's dollar CAD, remember. We could see a rollover. The monthly pivot sits below there. Seeing a bit of a bounce at the moment. back into the weekly. Now this could be a sell point somewhere along this, or the trend line that's running through this, so probably be even safer. So if it runs into this daily pivot, the monthly pivot here, maybe a trend line across the lows. I don't know why I don't draw it really. Maybe because it won't draw itself. Let's try it quickly. Somewhere across the lows here, a break below this area may signify further downside. Okay, that's that. Let's have a couple of look at a couple of the cross pairs. Euro yen choppy, lower high just coming through on that basis. Euro's just as I say, softened up. It's just come back to the dailies here. It's sort of having softened against the yen. The yen's strength there just way more on Friday. The euro as a whole just looks a little bit softer maybe, and looking across some other pairings here, bearish sort of swing on there on the 4 hourlies. It just looks, as I say, looks that bit softer as a currency. It's just quickly compare it to the pound. Here you go. So it's softer against the pound at the moment. It's just come out to the dailies. We get a better picture here. But the pound, the CAD. Maybe I'm not being unfair on the euro when I'm looking at it and thinking it just looks soft. It's soft against most pairings here. Aussie dollar, it's sold off against on Friday. It's the weakest out there at the moment. Now that may all change today, but it's certainly the weakest for now. Okay, I've looked at the S&Ps. Let's have a quick look at gold. So what's happening on the gold front of things here? Okay, so someone's apologising for asking about the indices. There's no problem. I don't mind looking at a few of them, but there's a limitation. Gold pushing up on the daily basis at the moment. Looking, 3 solid days. I was quite bearish. It has come into this area here of support last week, or it had I should say, getting a bit more of a bounce. There was some divergence off those lows. It's coming up to a key area here, breaking the highs between the 2 lows. So the 2 lows, the high between the 2 there, and to me, if it can break that 1795 area, it becomes a bit more bullish, and maybe we'll see a bit more correction towards the 50, the 200 up here on the daily. So there you go. That's gold. Looking at oil. Well, we've still got oil meetings going on by looks of things. I'm sure it'll end up with some sort of bullishness for oil at this stage, and it's short enough at the daily ways. It's started the day a bit more bullish. Even Friday, okay, doji bar, and it was an inside bar. It's a bit of uncertainty, I should imagine, more than anything else, with the meetings continuing. And just looking here though, as you come down, well, perhaps again trend-wise, near-term trend, it looks like it's just being tested or about to be broken. I looked at it in other ways here on Friday. It did pitch out there at 1 o'clock, but I wasn't at that stage. I was looking at non-farms. And looking at other currencies, but yeah, it may have, as I say, there's risk with trading gold today, with OPEC still kicking around with meetings, etc. Right, that's pretty much it. Oh, of course, cryptos. Quickly looks at cryptos. He says, as he brings in quick, I might as well just do it on here for those that are keen. Now we've got a few more, as it's currencies at the moment, it is too much. A few more interested in crypto. So it's daily Bitcoin here. The range continues. It's sitting in this tight old range. The more it sits in this tight old range at the lows, though, it does make me think, well, perhaps it has got further downside. We had 3 up days then at the weekend. It's been up both days. Friday pushed up there. Ethereum seeing a bit more of a push up over the weekend there, throughout the weekend as well. Just running back a little bit, finding a bit of resistance, and I say resistance, it's just stalling a little bit this morning, and Ripple there. So and when I look at it on this time frame and look at what's happening here, it's a bear flag territory for Ripple there at the moment. Maybe even for Ethereum, although it has put a higher low in here on the shorter time frame. So they're just when I'm looking at them, there's erring of bearishness still sitting across them, I'm afraid. Okay, that's pretty much it for me today. I'm I'm going to call it quits there. I wish you a great day's trading, and I will be back in the morning. Bye for now.